Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Real Red Stock, the authentic football fan channel made in Manchester. This is your transfer show. And as always, things are kicking off in Manchester United. We're going to talk about Hojlund and the first bid potentially about to go in very, very shortly. We're just waiting on news on that. David Moyes is pushing for Maggie, or Maguire as other people know him. Kobbe Mainoo we want to discuss as well in the future, what it might look like for him next season. And then there's a bit about Alex Telles, which has just come out in the last half an hour, in regards to going to Saudi Arabia, and that deal looks like it could be close. So make sure you leave a like on the video, get a comment. Something stuck in my throat. Great start. Make sure you leave a like on the video, get your comments in, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I mentioned it yesterday, but the next members video has been filmed, and this video is taking a closer look at the young Japanese prospect Zion Suzuki. So I hope you all enjoy that one, and that one will be dropping very, very shortly. So if you want to become a member, click the join button next to the notification bell, or the link is in the bio, or should be in the description, should I say. So yeah, make sure you check that out. Shreyas, we're going to kick things off. First of all, almost welcome. Sorry, I haven't introduced you there, but you know the script. We're going to kick things off with Hojlund. So Romano announced that Manchester United are preparing a first offer for Rasmus Hojlund. The upcoming proposal is being discussed internally. Seems like we're moving relatively quick on deals now, which is refreshing. How do you see this bid structure, do you think? How do United go about this?
I think United would like to go about it in a way where we don't have to pay, even, if you have to include those add-ons or, however they structure it, they don't want to go above the price mark of 55 or 60 million, because I think deep down, everyone in the board and everyone, even from Atlanta's side and even from United side, they know that he's not a 60 million pound player. Atlanta are trying to push that price as high as they can so that they can cash out on a very good talent, but even United know that he's not a 60 million pound player who can come in and score like 20 goals a season. He hit the ground running. He's not that sort of a player. He's a developmental striker. He's going to take time to actually grow into that position, and it's going to take time for him to adapt to the league as well. So considering all that, I think they'll try to contain this deal below that 55 million mark. However they want to structure it, maybe add-ons as to or certain bonuses on qualifying for certain competitions, or if he is able to break through a particular milestone or a particular goal mark, probably they will like to structure it in that way. But I don't see this deal in any direction. I don't see it going above 55 million. Like, I think 50 million would be a position where our side and Manchester United side, they'll reconsider their options, because I don't think, I think deep down everyone knows that Rasmus Hojlund isn't the only option that you can go for. He's just the option that Ten Hag seems to like a little bit more in comparison to the others that are available in the window right now. But if he's being overpriced and if Atlanta are not negotiating, then you can go to those other options as well.
Yeah, well, let's get everybody else involved, because there's a few comments in the chat already. So good morning to everyone first and foremost. We've got Red Devil Yannick saying, don't forget Alex Telles to Al Nasser. We're going to touch on that towards the end. TS7 saying we should be paying 45 to 50, but I can see it being 55 to 60. And I actually wouldn't be gutted about it, although that's the absolute tops I would go. Jay McGregor saying, morning lads, I just wish they'd get the Hojlund deal done, as we need a new number 9 rather than want, for the sake of 10 million difference. Just stop dilly-dallying and get it done. Amrat Chowdhury's in the chat saying, what do you think, guys, we'll be able to get Hojlund and Amrabat? And with this current squad, how do you rate our next season? Shreyas, how do you rate?
If we are able to get even Hojlund, and if we are able to get another midfielder in, I think last season without decent squad depth, Ten Hag was able to achieve third. He was able to achieve the League Cup as well, and we managed to go deep into the FA Cup final as well. So I think more than anything, the expectations will grow a lot more. I think it depends on what striker we sign. I think if we sign a Hojlund, I think we'll once again be in that top 3 race, that third position mark. I think we can still be there. And we can comfortably get top 4 if we are able to get Hojlund in at the right time, and we are able to get Amrabat in as well, because it opens up a lot more options to actually play in the midfield, and you need that in the long course of the season. We saw last season that we had to play a game every 3 days, and it exhausted the squad to a point that there was a massive drop off in quality between that February and March period. So I think third could be possible. I think we could go deep into the Champions League, and if luck seems to go in our favor, probably come up with a big trophy next season. If we are able to get a Hojlund, if we are able to get a Kane, I think those marks actually get even more amplified. Like if you sign a
Yeah.
Harry Kane, I think the
Oh yeah.
expectations don't just go to a top 4. People will definitely be gunning for a title.
Yeah, that's what I mean. The bar's been set now on it with that third and a trophy, and you had Vegas up top. You bring Hojlund,
Exactly my
Mount,
point.
and Onana in, which significantly completely changes the way you play.
Exactly.
It's, all our deficiencies from last season are basically being covered up by these new transfers that are coming in. So,
is,
yeah, the bar's been set. So let's see what we can do. STP Mitchell, yo everyone. Hope everyone has an amazing day. Glazers out with the usual messages. Thank you very much for that.
Yeah.
Jay McGrogan saying, still think a loan for Felix is able to do too. I'm a fan of that. I think Shreyas will be a fan of that as well. He's a fan of Joao Felix. So we take that. Prabhav's in the chat. Big up to Prabhav, who's a real Red Ultra member. I don't know if you saw at the start. I mentioned I've done a video and an analytical, I struggle to say that word sometimes, an analytical and insightful video on Zion Suzuki, the goalkeeper that Manchester United are looking at. That'll be dropping at some point this week when it's been edited, but it has been filmed. So, yeah, keep an eye out for that. I'm not Chowdhury saying 60 plus 10, it'll happen. Otherwise, Atlanta will not agree because the negotiation person is the same as who sold us Maguire. He absolutely is. Dan Errington's in the chat. Big up to Dan saying, why not go in for Sadio Mane, 20 mil? He's proven in the Premier League and he'll get you goals. He didn't really work out for Mane at Bayern Munich. He was all right, but then he had a really big dip. He's getting older, pushing 30, ex-Liverpool player. It's not for me personally. He's a fantastic player.
Yeah, no doubt about it. No doubt about it.
He's past his prime now. I think he's over that hill, in my personal opinion.
If he's ready to be on the, if he's ready to, agree to a term where he won't be playing every single game because we've got Rashford and, be happy with the squad role, then it would be, I would be more than happy to take Mane just to piss off Liverpool fans.
Yeah. Abby Deliso says, I need Amrabat, Mane, Theo Hernandez and David Alaba to United is better next year, 2024. I saw the David Alaba rumours. Not entirely sure about that. Left-sided defender. Yeah, I don't know. 31 years old. Probably coming for a massive paycheck. Not my personal thing, but everyone's entitled to their opinion. And yes, Prabha says, would you take Balogun? Now, we're going to discuss plan Bs and Cs because obviously, if Atlanta are going to be stubborn on this negotiation and they're going to say, no, 70 million euros, that's it, we ain't accepting, and we're offering like 40 plus 10 in add-ons, and the add-ons are ridiculous, basically. There's going to be a bit of stalling there, right? So if there is a plan B, a plan C, would you go for someone, I don't know, like a Balogun, Taremi, like these names that are being listed off? Who would your preference be?
Taremi, no. I don't think I've seen Taremi in action a lot of times, even in the Asian qualifiers as well. When I was watching the Asian qualifiers for the World Cup and the SAFF Championships as well, I wasn't that impressed by him, by Taremi. Even during the course of the World Cup, I wasn't that impressed by Taremi. I think that he's a good striker for Porto. He's a good striker for Iran, but I don't think that he can be a great striker for Manchester United. I think the bar would just be a little too high, and I don't think that he would be able to live up to the expectations of what we actually want from a striker. So
what about dovetailing him with Rasmus? Would you be more happy with that if you brought in Rasmus and then had him as like a backup or someone to bring in maybe a little bit more experienced?
That's the point. I think Rasmus Hojlund is a developmental striker. He would need someone to actually learn off from, and I think if we get Taremi and Hojlund in, I think if Hojlund and Taremi actually come in, if they do come in, I think Hojlund will be the first person actually starting in the pecking order, because I think that Hojlund will be easily able to, go past the level of Taremi. And I think if you get a Hojlund in, and you're going in for another striker, you should get someone in who can actually challenge Hojlund for that starting striker spot. Because I don't want a situation wherein, you get a Taremi, but he hasn't got what it takes to actually offer us something up top. And I don't want a position as to last season that, we've just got someone who can stay fit, who can exist on the pitch, but he cannot offer us a lot more than that. So that's why I'm not that much of a big fan of Taremi. Except that Balogun, I think he was on loan in League One last season, and he had a very good season with them. He'll be going back to Arsenal. And I doubt Arsenal would be willing to actually let go of one of our strikers to Manchester United, someone who are I would genuinely say neck and neck in competition with them. When it
And
comes
also,
to,
why would they be getting rid of him as well? Like, why would Arsenal be getting rid of him if
because
he's? Do
I
you know what I
think
mean?
if Jesus gets injured, I think he's the perfect person to actually play in his position. And I think Felix could genuinely be an option which can be explored, and Vlahovic can still
I
be an
like
option
Felix.
that can be explored, because I think Vlahovic has agreed personal terms with PSG, so it will be tough to get Vlahovic. But I think Felix is a very realistic option. Even if you get him in on loan, I think the loan fee would be around 8 million or 10 million. And for a striker like him, who actually, he lives off linking up and playing with the wingers. If you play him, down the middle, we've got Rashford, we've got Anthony, who are actually very, very explosive wingers. You've got Garnacho on the bench, who's once again, he's explosive winger as well. So I think under that system, Felix would be able to thrive. I think it was a very bad move for him to actually go to Chelsea, because Chelsea just don't play up to his strengths. And last season, the state Chelsea were in, I don't think it was the right atmosphere to actually move in. I think right now for Felix, the best system would either be ours or it would be Arsenal. So I think if you go in for Felix, I think we could be looking at a very stable and deadly front three.
I think Atletico are looking at that like right, well, we can't sell him for the price that we bought him for, so what we'll just do, we'll just charge 15 million a year for the next 5 years, like Kalana or something, and just loan him out for 10 million, and then we can just still sell him for about 80 million pounds anyway, so we'll get our money. That seems to be the model they're going for, because it never made sense to me why Atletico would spend that much money on a player and then loan him out. And obviously, we all know it's like public knowledge that him and Simeone don't get on, and it kind of doesn't suit the style or whatever. So they're like, right, well, just 10 million, and then eventually, when someone comes in, we would have recaptured the fee that we bought him for anyway. But speaking about prices and wages and stuff, that's something we haven't spoken about with Rasmus Hojlund yet. His wages won't be massive either, will they? Considering his age, considering playing time, like I doubt he's going to be on a huge wage. And if you can tie him down to a 5-year deal, maybe for £50 million, I'd be all right with that. I think if we pay £60 million or anything over that, I think we're mugs personally. I don't know what you think.
Yeah. I think that at max he's a £50 million striker. I said the same about Anthony last season, that at max he's 45 or 50 million price tag of a winger. He's not an 80 million or 100 million winger, and I think it's the same case with Hojlund. If he does end up coming to United, I think we give him a good 5 or 6 year deal. And I think at max you give him an 80k a week, or
80 to 100 in it.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think that you need to. I don't think you need to offer him a contract that you offered Jadon Sancho. You don't need to offer that sort of contract to him. He's not that sort of player, and I think that's a very big plus point alongside Hojlund, because if he doesn't work out, he's not a striker who will be nearing his 30s or nearing his end.
There's a resale value as well.
Yeah, and you can sell him at a profit, which is something we haven't done for ages. So I think Hojlund is a very good deal if you can get him around that 50 million mark. And I think if Ten Hag seems to favor a certain option so much, he must be seeing something in him. He must be seeing a way as to how he fits into this team. He must be seeing certain profiles of him that he must fancy more than other players. So and up until now, none of Ten Hag's signings have it has never been a situation that they haven't worked out. They have come into the starting 11. They've offered us a lot, and they've been an integral part of the team. So I think Hojlund could be one of those players next season for us. It just comes down to the fact where Atlanta actually land up with him on a price that United can actually consider.
Yeah, I think Hojlund can improve many aspects of our team, the style of play that he is. People don't talk about the energy that he has. I mean, he can consistently make runs for 90 minutes, no sweat, no problem at all. I mean, he tends to drift off to the left. You can see Marcus moving into the middle there. Transitional play would be perfect for the counter press and Mason Mount and players like you can really see these players that we brought in. And actually, if we do get Hojlund in now, to have Onana, Mason Mount and Hojlund for pre-season, if it does happen, it's a bit of a stretch, but that would be amazing, because we only had Malacio last season, and that obviously had an effect because we was kind of dragging into the season with Casemiro towards the end of the window. Whereas if we get them 3 core players in now, they're important for us stylistically, and then towards the end we can look at someone like a Kane or a cherry on top signing, basically, if Qatar come in.
I would even say that if you're able to get Hojlund in now and you go in for Amrabat later in the window, I would be perfectly okay with it. Because if you're able to sign in 3 core players, especially a striker before the season kicks off, and they are, they have integrated well with the team. They are able to, adapt well with the players around them. Because I think next season, one of the biggest things to watch out for would be how the, whoever we sign, whoever the striker is, how well they're able to cope up with, playing alongside Bruno Fernandes. I think that's a big,
Mhm.
big thing that we need to consider, because
Well, Hojlund's perfect for that.
yeah,
Hojlund's
because
perfect for Bruno.
if that striker and if Bruno Fernandes are able to coexist and adapt, I think there are going to be numerous opportunities for the striker to actually
Oh,
score
yeah.
goals.
Yeah, well, you saw how many we created last season, and we just couldn't finish them because we had
Yeah.
Weghorst up top, essentially. Right, let's read out some comments, and then we'll talk about Harry Maguire then, because there's been an update on that as well. Prabhav is saying Balogun doesn't want to play second fiddle, by the way. Dan Errington says, what about Ivan Toney? I think he can play after January, can't he? Well, maybe that's something they might look at. I don't know. Maybe they might bring in a Hojlund and, 6 months in, if it's getting, when it gets to January, you start playing a lot of games. So maybe they might look at an Ivan Toney. I'm not opposed to it. I like him as a player.
United aren't that active in the window. They've never been.
That as well, yeah, that's a very good point, to be fair. Don't forget, we got Weghorst. I know we got Sabitzer as well, but that, to be fair, that didn't really work out either. Do you know what? When I look back at them signings now, I remember doing videos on them saying, this is what they're going to bring. They're going to do this. Oh, fuck me. It just didn't work out at all. Plus, we know Felix' situation, rent him out like a car company buying Lambos for renters, pretty much. Yeah. Hojlund or Ramos, says Red Devil Yannick.
For me, Goncalo Ramos. I think he's a little more experienced than Rasmus Hojlund when it comes to playing at the bigger stages. And the way it's looking right now, I think we'll only be able to sign in one striker. And if we are going to bank in on one striker for the next season, I would prefer it to be Goncalo Ramos, because he's done it at the bigger stages. He's gone in deep into the Champions League as well, so he has that experience, and Hojlund doesn't.
Offers similar qualities as well.
Exactly.
When we talk about the pressing and transitional play and holding the ball up, he's decent at that. UTFR says 50 million max. He's not worth any more than that. He's had one decent season in Italy. Wasn't he released by Copenhagen? That's a slightly different take on the Rasmus Hojlund situation. I agree. I think we need to be careful with the pricing of this. When we first initially found out that we was kind of pushing for this striker, the numbers that was out there was £40 million, and you think, 30 to £40 million. You've seen exciting talents going for that now. That's the market nowadays. Lavio's going for 40 to £50 million. These kind of guys. So that's the kind of place I was thinking, and that's why we're saying if they're being stubborn on it and they're not dropping the price near that £50 million mark, I mean, it's a big risk, because then you got a lot of weight on the kid's shoulders then, bringing them into the club.
And I think that whenever you go in for signings with that sort of a price tag, it puts a lot of pressure on the player, and people start to evaluate their season according to the price tag that they've been brought in for. Because if you look at Antony's season last year, he's got 12 or 13 goal contributions, something around that in total. And for an £80 million pound winger, you would say that they're not decent stats at all. The moment you chuck that price down to a 40 or 45 million pound winger for his first season in the Prem, you would say 12 or 13 goal contributions aren't actually bad, and he can actually build up.
Yeah, because then that's exactly that. Same with Grealish. Grealish first 2 years at City, he was getting, a lot of people giving him pelters. But then the third season, you see him settling in. Last season, obviously, when they won the treble, which is annoying, but he was, one of the standout players for him. He was really, really good. So sometimes you get that adaptation period as well. And at United, players get rushed. There's a lot of pressure, whereas City, no one gives a fuck because it's a tin pot club. So, yeah. Amanat Chowdhury says the reason Erik Ten Hag doesn't want older strikers because the last time we bring in a young, it was Rooney at the age of 19. So Erik Ten Hag will bring a young striker in and develop him. I hope so. Jay McGrogan says, I've done some research myself on Hojlund and I was really impressed with his movement and anticipation just in case his teammates win the ball off his sniffing chances. Yeah. He's got a killer instinct as well, which I really like about him. Amrabat only happens when we most importantly sell Van der Beek and Fred. Yeah, more towards the end of the window. And Kalibu fucking hell. I'll try to pronounce your name, mate. Sorry. Kaibu Khanduja. I probably completely got it wrong, but there you go. Thoughts on Alan Varela, brilliant young midfielder. Haven't seen him. Have to be completely honest with you. Have not seen him.
I think he plays for Boca Juniors or somewhere along those lines. He's being, regarded as the next Mascherano. And I think someone is moving in for him, though. I think someone is moving in for him.
I'll take a closer look at him because I have to be honest with you, I haven't heard anything about him. Shah Sam's in the chat. Big up to Shah Sam, who's a real red ultra. If you want to become an ultra, we've got a video dropping this week on Zion Suzuki, the Japanese international goalkeeper that United are looking at. Make sure you check that out. Click the join button next to the notification bell, or the links in the bio should be in the bio. UTFR saying is an Italian kid called Retegui. He looks like he's going to be a top striker. Already a full international. I think he's Boca Juniors, but he's been on loan in Italy, maybe a backup. Again, I'll happily take a look at him. Anthony's 23 though, and once Erik Ten Hag taught him to attack the fullback on the outside, his assist and chance creation will skyrocket. One can only hope. And yes, he does play for Boca. Sure he has. Yeah. So yeah. So we're mentioning youth players there. We're going to touch on Ahmad and sorry, not Ahmad. Well, we can speak about Ahmad, but we're going to talk about. I've always got time to speak about Ahmad, so that's absolutely fine. But we're going to talk about Kobbe Mainoo towards the end, and Alex Tellez as well. It's crazy. We only discussed the first topic yet. We're not even through it. So yeah, let's just hit this head on. Harry Maguire. David Moyes is very interested in Harry Maguire, but there is no offer from West Ham just yet. Manchester United would like to sell him, and Axel Disasi is a serious option for Ten Hag to replace him. Apparently, West Ham had a loan offer rejected. That was coming out yesterday, Shreyas.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised it's been rejected, obviously, because why the fuck you want to loan him? But can you genuinely see this move going through? I don't know if we've spoken about this before.
I think I see this move going through now because the captaincy has actually been taken off him. And I think even he realizes now that, last year he was even being brought off the bench, or he was being put on the bench just because he had the armband in certain games.
Yeah.
Now that he doesn't have the armband, he'll be treated as just another player who's present at Manchester United. And I doubt that he would even have been. I doubt he'll make the bench if he stays, because I think even there you'll be facing some serious competition with players like Victor Lindelof being there, who are actually ahead of him in the pecking order. And Luke Shaw is being considered before him when it comes to playing in that centre back position. So if he wants to play regular football, he needs to leave. He genuinely needs to leave, whether it's a West Ham, a Chelsea, or whatever club is actually considering a move for him right now. And once again, I think blocking the loan move, I think it was the best decision made by Manchester United, because every single move, the thing is they're going to come back to you next season. And you're gonna.
That's what I mean. It wasn't even with an obligation to buy as well. There was an option to buy.
Yeah.
Like, come
it doesn't
on.
make any sense. So, and now that I think I've been hearing that now that the captaincy has been taken off him, a lot of clubs are actually considering taking him in, and I think this is why it is the perfect move by United. To actually put him on the market, see what kind of offers are coming in. And if anyone is even around that 35 million mark, I would take that offer. Instantly, I would take that offer. And if Disasi is being considered, go in for him. Even if he cannot go in for a centre-back, I would gladly go into the next season having Boran, Lisandro Martinez and Victor Lindelof being there as 3 centre-backs, and then you can chip in Luke Shaw in that centre-back role. And on the left-hand side, you can play Malacia, and genuinely, you can even play Alvaro Fernandez in there.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to read out a couple of comments because there was a couple of interesting ones in there. West Ham only want loan options, but let's be honest, they just sold fucking Declan Rice for 105 million. It's not like they're short for cash. Do you know what I mean? They've got money there. No. Dan Errington says Maguire equals Phil Jones 2.0. Very harsh. I think Phil Jones is better, especially in his prime. Jay McGrong says loan just doesn't make sense. One of you guys mentioned it recently, talking about his place in the England squad if he doesn't play regular. Dan saying, I thought Al Nassr couldn't sign anyone. Apparently so, but look, I don't care about regulations. If Tellez is going, fucking sell the kid. I'm happy about it. And UTFR says, if Harry goes, I honestly wish him all the best. I was there when he made his debut against Chelsea, and he was immense. He was very good. He was very good in that game. And he's had good moments. It's not like he's been dog shit throughout the full thing. I remember the back end of not all his last season, just the season before, but the end of that when we played
the season where we came
when we played in Verdansk in Europa League final, and he was the missing player, and everyone was talking about him not being in the team. So he had then, and that 6 months before that, he was really, really good. But again, systems exposure.
Even in the Euros tournament that followed, he was very good for England. So I think it was just the fact that we had to progress in our play style in a certain direction that he couldn't adapt to, because I still think if you move into I think West Ham are a perfect club for him to actually move on to, because they play to his strengths. They genuinely play to his strengths. He can
Yeah.
actually have a very good
A
career
lot
as
of
West Ham
balls,
defender.
very rigid at the back. Like it's perfect for him. And like I said, system's exposure as a player. Erik Ten Hag comes in, he's just like wide open. He's vulnerable. It just doesn't suit him at all, and that's why he hardly played. He had like 9 starts, I think, or 8 starts, and as United captain, it's unacceptable. But that kind of leads me to my next question: What is Harry Maguire? And again, this is a question for the chat. So if you guys are watching, get your comments in. And another question just to the chat as well whilst we're here. Where can someone put a search party out for Brian Casey? I don't think he's missed a single show since we've started this thing or since he's become a member. Maybe, yeah, we need to put a search. But Brian, if you're out there, we miss you. Just blow your whistle and we'll find you. Yeah, but anyway, yeah. Hopefully he's in the chat somewhere and he's just not commenting. But yeah, what is Harry Maguire's level, do you think, as a player? Not where we should sell him to. What should we think? Where is he? Where would you rank him? Let's say as a centre back.
Rank as a basis of which team he can play for, or just
what competition, what team, what league? Like, where do you think he'd fit in at a pecking order?
I think if he plays in the Italian league, he can play for Roma. He can even play for, I think, an Inter Milan. I think he can play for both of those teams and have a very good career with them.
Well, if Damian's starting at fucking centre back for Inter Milan in the final, Harry Maguire can definitely start.
Exactly my point. And he can do a job at Roma. I think he can do a very good job being a Roma defender. He can, if he stays in the Premier League, I think West Ham are a perfect club for him to actually want to. If not West Ham, I think teams like Fulham can actually be a good club for him to actually want to play. Both of those clubs, they play compact football, have a rigid system, and it isn't a system where the defenders have to be in a lot of one-on-one situations. They are very covered with the 2 midfielders that are playing alongside them. So I think Fulham can be a good club for him. I think West Ham could be a good club for him. And if not, I think the Italian league, because it is not that high tempo or counter pressing or pressing system present in that league, he can do a good job there. And if you play to his strengths, I think he can be a very good defender. But if you have to play him against a Liverpool, a City, or an Arsenal, these sort of teams, I think that's where he'll struggle a lot.
Yeah, agreed. We've got more and more people joining, so please do subscribe if you're new to the channel. We have content every single day, loads of it, and members content as well. So let's read out some comments because some of these are interesting. You mentioned the name Maguire in the comments, just go off. Harry's level is West Ham, says UTFR. Optimus 101 says we should pay for 15 million euros for a bench player like Hojlund. Wow, it's very harsh. Vincent Mokoea says lack of ambition killed Maguire. His first statement since signing, he was talking of a belief United could win the title, even if it takes 5 years or more. From there, I started weighing on his mentality. That's a very good point. Prabhav says Italy top flight, lower mid-table for Maguire level. Amnat says the clubs who are paying more defensive style suits the most for Maguire. Absolutely. Dan Harrington says he'd do well at Wrexham. Jay McGrog says man's gone AWOL. Yeah, he has. Brian has gone AWOL. Or has Maguire gone AWOL? I don't know who you're alluding to there, but we move. Send Maguire to Greece. Jesus Christ. Yeah. Think Maguire top half of the table, team worthy, maybe Italy, as you say, and smash that like button, says Red Devil Yannick. Absolutely. Please do that if you haven't already. It helps us more than you know. It kind of lets us know you enjoy the content. Right, we're going to do a bit of a role play here, Shreyas. I'm going to ring you up as like an agent, right? And you're Harry Maguire's agent. How would you sell him to me? If I'm like, right, we're interested in your player, what's his wages going to be? What's this? Why should we buy Harry? Tell me.
He's desperate to leave the club. He's desperate to play football. He's desperate to be on the pitch.
So the price is coming down then. That's fine. If he's desperate, I mean, that must mean you're selling him for cheap. 10 million? Are you saying 5-10 million? Loan?
10 cents. And for wages, he'll just be happy with some water and some food week to week. We can actually ration it.
Some turkey dinosaurs and beans and Billy Bear ham.
Yeah. Till the time he just gets to play regular football, he'll be happy because he isn't getting it at Manchester United. Yeah.
I mean, in all seriousness, you'd be like, he's an England international. Regardless of whatever you think of Southgate, he starts for England.
He's been a good player for them in the Euros. He's been a good player for them during the course of the World Cup.
Didn't he get team of the tournament in the Euros?
He did the tournament in the Euros.
He did, didn't he? Yeah, alongside Luke Shaw, he got in team of the tournament. And you could try to package it as much as you could say, in a certain system, he'd be perfect for it. As a captain of United, despite, again, what you say about him. There is quality to offer there, I think, for Maguire. It's not all doom and gloom and you say he's shit and just selling to fucking a League Two team. He'll be a captain for Plymouth. Like his level is way above that. So I just hope we get good money for him and we don't get mugged off, essentially. But we're gonna go from a captain, an older figure, to a younger talent in Kobbe Mainoo, Shreyas. And there was a report coming out from Critchley before the Athletic saying, for now, a Kobbe Mainoo loan is not planned. Erik ten Hag is crazy about him and confident in his abilities. Now, we got a brief glimpse of this recently on the watch along, but obviously we've seen him before that. Seems like he's coming more and more to the forefront now, especially in the core squad. What do you like about Kobbe Mainoo?
I think the way he's so composed and calm on the ball, even in tense situations, his passing range, and the way he's able to scan his environment. Like, even in the game against Leeds, he is very good at scanning his environment and looking for spaces to actually ball the pass, pass the ball to. He formed a very good link up with Hannibal in that game. And you could see very good link ups in the attack with alongside Ahmad being played in the right wing position as well. And the thing is, in comparison to what we've been seeing at United, Fred and McTominay both, they weren't players who demanded the ball of the players, who they played alongside with. Their first go-to response whenever they got the ball was to just pass it to someone else. They never used to scan for the environment, and they always used to be tense on the ball. He actually demands the ball from the players he's playing alongside with. He wants to be on the ball. He wants to be involved, and he's very solid and composed in his defensive skills as well. So I think next season, I do understand why Ten Hag seems to like him. There's a real talent in there. Could be a genuinely, the future midfielder for Manchester United. And if Ten Hag, doesn't let him go out on loan, it means that he'll be a part of the midfield next season. And I think then we don't really have to wonder about a lot for Casemiro's replacement. I think if Kobbe Mainoo, if he's put into the right condition at the right time and developed well, I think he can take that role from Casemiro in a few years' time. And another thing about him that is actually good is he's very versatile. He can play as a CDM, he can play as a box to box, and he's even played cam for us in the debut that he had. So he's a very versatile young midfielder, and right now he's got a big future ahead of him because you've got a manager like Erik ten Hag who seems to favor youth a lot, and right now he's got his eyes on Kobbe Mainoo, and he's come out and pretty much said that he really fancies this player and doesn't want him to go out, which means that he'll be involved next season.
Yeah, he seems to favour him quite a lot, don't it, to be fair. And I think equally there's fair treatment because you only get performances based on merit. So obviously he's seen something that stands out about him, and I think he's going to have a breakout season similar to Garnacho. I think next season, like what we've had with Garnacho this season, like a star just coming out of nowhere, someone who can come in, who can show energy on the pitch, and he's got quality. I think Kobbe Mainoo will be the second player next season because Ten Hag has even said that he expects one player for every year from the youth academy, at least one player to come in and take a spot in this team. And I think Kobbe Mainoo could be that player next season. Yeah, it's a great point. But one thing that does slightly worry me is that not worry me because I'd like him to come in, but if an Amrabat does come in, does that then limit game time for a Kobbe Mainoo, even in like cup competitions and stuff?
I think if Amrabat comes in, he'll be played more as a box to box. I think he'll be someone who, I don't think he'll be a starter. I think he'll be someone who, like how we used to deploy Fred last season. Once that 60 or 65th minute mark kicks in and you need energy, that's when you put in an Amrabat, and he can actually offer you quality alongside it when you put him for fresh legs. So I think Amrabat's role will be pretty much well defined as a super sub next season. Probably get a start in a few games. If we have an injury, then you've got someone to actually rely on who doesn't give you heart attacks every single time they're on the field. So I think that's the position Amrabat will play in. I don't think he'll be playing in the position of Casemiro. And if Mainoo sticks around, I think Kobbe Mainoo will be played as a 6 next season.
What is it about French genetics? As well. Like they just seem to produce so many young talents. You look at their players from like age 16 to 25. Honestly, it's unbelievable. Some of the talents that they've got.
Midfield, defense, goalkeeping, every single position they've got sorted out.
Yeah, the depth is unbelievable, man. Like they just produce talent.
Yeah.
After just set a scouting network up in there and all like
Exactly.
the under fucking 10s or whatever in the schools and just pluck them. Do
And
you know what I mean?
the players within that age gap as well, 18-year-olds and 19-year-olds, they are very, very, they're great, and they're actually, they can take spots of the French national team first choice 11.
Yeah,
They can take that
yeah.
positions and be as good as those players.
Crazy, absolutely crazy. Right, I'll read out some comments and then we'll talk about Alex Telles. Optimus saying Mainoo's a bit like Casado though. Yeah, he's very press resistant, isn't he, Kobbe Mainoo? Like he knows his space, his angles. Very good at using his body. Direct passing is crisp. Breaks the lines. I'm a big fan of him. Amnat says Kobbe Mainoo's the perfect substitute for Casemiro. Will impress more in the coming years for sure. Even Ahmad on the right will contribute significantly. You know, I'm a fan of Ahmad. I love Ahmad. I think he should be competing with Anthony on that right hand side, 100%. If we loan Mainoo to a team like Dortmund or Ajax, he'll definitely become a star as he'll be properly developed. It's not a bad shout. Ilanga looks pretty jacked and fit though. He's doing extremely good in training. It's sad that it did not work out for him. Yeah, I like Ilanga. Great attitude. Trains really hard, but quality-wise, lacks it in the final third a little bit.
He's got the athleticism. He's not got that technical ability on it.
Yeah, but it's unfortunate, but I think he could be a good player. You see how like what Iwobi does for Everton? I think Ilanga could do it, offer a similar quality.
And right now, if he's able to offer us 10 or 15 million, that's what we are actually.
Oh yeah, take it. Yeah, in a heartbeat because it's pure profit as well. So, Jay McGrogan says the second Mainoo starts pulling strings in cup games, he'll be thrown in. I hope so. Amrabat should be starting. I think Mount will play as left wing sometimes with Rashford as a centre forward. It's not French, but Africa. Well, yeah, look, it is. I think people now who are even young talents in the French team, like internationally, because there's so much competition, you do see them branch off into like the other nationalities that they're valid for. You are seeing a lot of that, to be fair, because it's just like it's almost impossible to get into that team. They've got an elite player in every single position who's like, either a captain for their team or what have you. So yeah, France doing very well. Congratulations. All right, let's move on to Alex Telles, the last topic of this morning's show. Shreyas, Al Nassr are closing in on a deal to sign Alex Telles from Manchester United. Here we go soon. That's from Fabrizio Romano. There's verbal agreement now in place between the two clubs, waiting for the documents, check details. Al Nassr want both Seko Fofana from League One and Telles to join in the next days. Price, what do you think this price is going to be? Because it is Saudi, but then I'm like, I don't know. United never need seem to sell good, so I'm not sure what to expect here.
If it was just
and that's
Saudi,
that's a question for the chat as well. How much do you think is going to go for?
I think max 15 million. I'd
take that.
Yeah, I think maximum 15 million. I think even if we get 10 or 12 million for him, I think it will be a good deal. If we are very lucky and Saudis, regard him as a very good player, get 40 or 50 million in for him, I don't mind. But I think realistically we'll be, around that 10 or 15 million mark. I think that's where we'll be floating. And I think it is a good deal because it won't be a loan deal. We'll actually be offloading a player. He won't be coming back in next season. And for the first time in quite some time, we are actually, we've got depth in that left back position. We haven't had depth in that left back position for so many years. And now we've got depth. You've got Malacia, you've got Alvaro Fernandez, you've got Luke Shaw, you've got three players who are very talented.
And Dalot can play there as well.
Dalot can play there as well. Exactly my point. Yeah. So you've got enough depth in that left back position. And I wouldn't say that Telles is better than Luke Shaw or any of those players right now because he just hasn't shown up for United in his, later stages. So I think it's a good deal and an important deal as well because it generates funds for us to actually go in for a striker or a midfielder.
Yes, I hope we get a good price for him and hopefully them details get released shortly so we can see what we're selling him for. I think that his best moment from what I can remember for the club was the volley in the Champions League. Do you remember?
I think he scored that against Atlanta or something in the Champions League.
Yeah, Atlanta or Villarreal, I think it was one of them. Yeah. But absolute banger of a goal and that kind of got us back into it. And then Ronaldo scored the winner, I think.
Yeah. It was Villarreal.
Yeah, how times have changed. Yeah, times have changed, mate. Mental. But it was someone who definitely needed to be sold, not in the plans. Very important to get him off the book. So we're happy with that. Wish him all the best in Saudi. And let's hope Saudi get a bit of an itch for a few more of our players and we can sell a couple of them. But let's see what happens. I don't know. I'll read out a few more comments and then we'll head off. Let's see what people are saying. Joe Santai says Maguire is a one-season wonder when Leicester won the title and too bad for United that we we go in for him, and unfortunately we got him. Jamie McGregor says, kind of forgot we had Tellez until the window opened. Sharp Sam says, finally getting a taste of that Saudi money. Let's go. That's what I'm saying. Let's get more of it in. United negotiators are crap. If we're lucky and smart, we can get at least 20 million. I don't think we get 20. I think we get,
even if we're lucky, we'll get 15 or 16.
Yeah, I think 8 to 10 realistically. Jay McGregor saying, give them Maguire as part of the deal. You can't have Tellez unless you take Maguire too. Yeah, you have to take him. You have to take him. They're like, no, deal's off, mate. Deal's off. We're not taking him, pal. Sorry. But in all honesty, I was saying if Maguire was to go to the Saudi League now, he'd be the best centre back there.
Yeah, he would be. Yeah, I think it could be. And if he goes there, he'll be doing us a big favor, because then probably Saudi clubs would be willing to pay 35 or 40 million for him.
I just see him being a traditional, like, kind of don't want to leave England, wants to stay here, likes to chip you around the corner. His mum makes his dinners, and he, what I mean, like, he just wants to. I don't know. Well, yeah, like guys, if anything breaks for the rest of the day, we will go live. So turn on the notification bell, extremely important, because it'll just drop down. You can tap on it, and then you can jump into the conversation with us. So any transfers breaks, anything about the takeover, dear me, do we need an update? Any single update. It could be like, anything, I don't know. Just, like the wheels are in motion now. Even something like that, just so we know, so there's mental clarity that something is happening with a takeover deal, because fuck me, I don't know what's going on, man. It's just so quiet. No one's saying anything at all, like not even a little glimpse of stuff. So
there's no
I'm
news
hoping we
even
do
about
hear
them
something.
Having a thought about staying or anything. Like there's nothing to actually go out about.
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. I'm checking the stock market. That's not even fluctuating now. Just staying on $23. So I don't know what to do. I'm going to leave you guys with a sound as always. Get your capybara emojis in the chat if you are a member. And if you want to become a member, click the join button next to the notification bell, or the link should be in the description. We've got a video dropping this week on Zion Suzuki, the new goalkeeper, Japanese generational talent that we're looking at. So that's going to be interesting. That'll be dropping in the next couple of days. But here you go. Capybara. See you in a bit, guys. Peace.
Yeah.
We want Blaze House and we want Blaze House. We want Blaze House and we